Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity. Revenue feels good from a growth perspective, but profit is a real measure of business wealth, and it's difficult to create and sustain over long periods of time. In my last video, I talked about how a strategist can look at value creation. This video is a part 2 of that, and I'll link the concept of value that I discussed there to profit. If you learn to maximize value, then profit itself will follow. There are actually 3 types of profit. 1. Business profit. We are all familiar with this one. This is simply the price less the cost. To expand profit, we can either increase price or decrease costs, but there's a limit. On the top, the limit is value perception of the customer, and at the bottom, the limit is supplier costs. Let's say you're a camera company and you sell your camera for, let's call it $1,000, and it costs you $400 to make the camera. Then your gross profit is $600. Yep, simple enough. 2. Customer profit. This is the difference between customer value and the price. We sometimes call this function customer delight. This is the value the customer feels they got from the purchase of the product. This is more difficult to quantify because it's the customer's individual perception of value. So if the customer buys that $1,000 camera, then they feel they're getting more than $1,000 of value. It could be that they're professional and they'll make an easy return on paid work, or they're a casual photographer and they enjoy the feel of the camera device and the particular look of the picture, and that customer delight is customer profit. 3. Supplier profit. This is the difference between the input cost to the business, which is the supplier price, and the supplier cost. A supplier cannot drop the price any lower than the cost incurred to provide that input. So in the camera example, if the company buys a part from suppliers, and let's say it pays $100 for the sensor, it costs the supplier $70 to manufacture the camera sensor. The supplier captures the profit of $30, which is $100 less than $70. Long-term sustainable profits follow value creation, which means when you maximize value, then you end up growing all 3 types of profit. This concept of value creation comes from Felix Oberholzer G, who invented the value stick, which is a stick from top to bottom of 4 elements in order of willingness to pay, price, cost, and willingness to sell. The difference between willingness to pay to willingness to sell is the value created. The difference between willingness to pay and price is customer delight or customer profit. The difference between price and cost is the margin or the business profit. And the difference between cost and willingness to sell is the supplier profit. This gives strategists a simple way to think about strategy because it makes the goal of strategy to create value. Businesses that can create the most value will have a competitive advantage and ultimately dominate their markets. A strategist can help business create value by helping with 2 important choices. First, you know how to invest in a few critical value drivers that give the business a competitive advantage. This is a game of allocation and prioritization of finite resources to activities and assets that can grow value. So if you're in the food delivery business, for example, and your customers say value speed, you focus your business resources into how to reduce the cycle time from order to a customer having food in hand. Second, you develop a deep understanding of the value driver and how they influence willingness to pay and willingness to sell. So if a strategy thinks food delivery speeds are important, and they understand that customers are likely to pay more, which is a way of increasing willingness to pay, to get their food faster. And they also know that they may need to invest in better experiences for their riders, which is a way to increase willingness to sell, to entice them to join the network. So although you may be able to increase profit simply by increasing price and cutting costs, this is a short-term measure. To make long-term profits and create real wealth, the strategist must find ways for a business to increase value instead. As a strategist, you are a value creator. Thanks, and see you soon.